In 1959, 9 Soviet hikers set out into the Ural Mountains on what was supposed to be a challenging but routine expedition. They were all experienced, well-prepared, and familiar with the harsh Siberian environment. They never made it back. The group, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, began their journey on January 23rd. They traveled by train, then bus, truck, and eventually continued on skis. One hiker, Yuri Yudin, turned back early due to illness, making him the only survivor. The rest of the group pushed forward, documenting their trip through diaries and photographs. On February 1st, they set up camp on the snowy slope of a mountain called Kolat Shakal, which translates from the local Mansi language to Dead Mountain. That night, something happened, something no one could have predicted. When the group failed to return, a search party was launched. On February 26th, rescuers discovered their tent, collapsed and slashed open from the inside. Their gear was still inside, untouched. Outside, barefoot footprints led down the slope toward a forest, as if the hikers had calmly walked away in the middle of the night. Under a cedar tree at the edge of the woods, the first 2 bodies were found. Shoeless, barely dressed, frozen. Nearby, 3 more bodies were discovered, also underdressed, appearing to have died trying to return to the tent. But the last 4 were different. Found in a ravine, partially buried under snow, 3 had suffered massive injuries, shattered skulls, crushed ribs, internal bleeding. 1 woman was missing her tongue and eyes. Some of their clothes were found to be abnormally radioactive. The official report? The hikers were killed by an unknown compelling force. That's it. Theories spread fast. Everything from secret military experiments to aliens to a Yeti attack. But what really happened? Let's break it down. The tent had been slashed open from the inside. That suggests something drove them to flee in a panic, likely something inside the tent. There were no signs of an avalanche, and the footprints suggested they left in an orderly fashion, not running in fear. Now look at this. The group used a homemade wood-burning stove. There's evidence they cooked that night. Partially eaten food was found inside. It's possible that when they disassembled the stove, embers reignited without the exhaust pipe in place, filling the tent with smoke. In a panic, they may have slashed open the tent to escape. Some had burns on their skin and clothes, possibly from that stove or the fire they later tried to build. Some also had blood around their mouths, which could be a symptom of smoke inhalation. Once outside, they faced minus 30 degrees Celsius temperatures, with no boots, coats, or shelter. They likely made for the forest to build a fire and regroup. 2 froze near the tree. 3 others died trying to make it back. The remaining 4 went deeper into the woods, possibly looking for shelter or firewood, only to fall into a ravine, suffering fatal injuries on the rocks below. Their bodies were found weeks later under several feet of snow. As for the missing tongue and eyes, the coroner noted that these were likely the result of decomposition in melting snow. Not mutilation, not murder. And the radiation? 2 of the hikers had worked in nuclear facilities. Trace contamination isn't that strange given the time period. Finally, the so-called UFO sightings. Yes, people reported lights in the sky, but not on the night of the incident. And the last photo taken by the hikers, often said to show a UFO, is blurry and vague. It could just as easily be a flashlight, campfire, or a camera error. So what really happened? The most likely scenario is this. A stove malfunction caused smoke to fill the tent. The group panicked, cut their way out, and fled into the freezing night without proper gear. Some froze to death. Others suffered fatal injuries in the dark, unfamiliar terrain. It's not aliens. It's not a military cover-up. It's a tragic accident, made worse by the brutal environment and a series of desperate decisions. But because of how strange and scattered the evidence seemed, the Dyatlov Pass incident has remained a magnet for speculation. And maybe that's what keeps it so haunting, because sometimes the scariest mysteries are the ones with no satisfying answers.